Hey, welcome to the Plain Truth. My name is David Highsmith, and I want to talk to you about something dear to my heart today. Have you ever heard the song, Jesus loved the little children, all the children of the world, whether yellow, black, and white, they are all precious in His sight. Jesus loved the little children of the world. Well, I believe that. But I also believe that Jesus loved African Americans. Although many don't live their lives as though Jesus loved African Americans. Let me give you an example. I believe that there's a vanishing act of African Americans. I call it the vanishing act of African Americans. And there's a reason I call that, because I look at all the things that are happening in the African American community, and we are vanishing. We are becoming extinct. It's like they say, if you put a frog in a hot pot of water, he'll jump out. But if you put him in a cold pot of water and turn the stove up, the fire up under him, he'll sit right there and bored to death, not knowing that his fate is about to happen. He's about to die. He's about to vanish off the face of the earth. And I think that's happening in our community. And I want to sound the trumpet of Zion, if you will, so we can actually see what's going on in our community, the vanishing act of African Americans. Listen, there's a mass incarceration taking place amongst African American men. I believe it's racism driven. They say that it's more African Americans incarcerated than is in our colleges. And they say it's more African Americans incarcerated that were in slavery. And that's astonishing, that statistic. And I believe it. It is a move to incarcerate. I believe there's a move to incarcerate as many African American as possible. Once you get them incarcerated, throw a felon on them, they can't vote, they can't get a decent job, they can't provide a decent living for their families and even for themselves. The vanishing, the incarceration of African American men. When these African American men are incarcerated, many of them come out gay, giving AIDS to our sisters. They're gay, men with men. We got women with women. These brothers come out there on the down low. They go with men and women, affecting our women with AIDS. Then our women die from AIDS. The caregivers, the one that the door to life, they are no more. We've had doctors that have given our women hysterectomies so they can't have any more children, and that's a statistical fact that they have been given African American women hysterectomy so they can't have any more children. The vanishing act of African Americans. So here you got homosexuality prevalent in our community, men with men and women with women. Well, who's going to have children? Who's going to give birth to children? You can't give birth. Men with men can't give birth. Women with women can't give birth. Then you got African American men and women, more so African American men, refusing to marry, refusing to commit to women, our women, African American women. They rather go out and marry outside the race than to commit to African American women. And they even give excuses for not committing to African American women as though other races don't have problems, but only our community have problems. Only African American women fuss. I mean, these ludicrous answers that they give why they refuse to marry within our race. And I'm gonna tell you something. If a celebrity ever say that, you should boycott and never support a celebrity if he's gonna put our people down and come outright and say that they don't date black women. or even black women in the entertainment field don't say they don't date black men. If you hear this, you should boycott them. If they refuse to acknowledge that they are African Americans, you should boycott them. I don't care who they are. Ashamed of our race. So here you have African American men refusing to marry. When does the need marry African American women? When does the need of a people become greater than the desires of a few? The need of the many becomes greater than the desires of a few. Yeah, we know that, wherever you find love, you find a love, but you can't find love in your own community. Something wrong with our women? I should say not. Something wrong with our men? I don't, it's a crying shame when African Americans are accepted in the white community, and yet once they are accepted in the white community, they begin to think that they're better than other African Americans. They're better, and so now you can't tell if they're black or white because they refuse to identify with anything that has to do with their blackness. And when are we going to stop? When are we going to start having children and stop having abortions? The vanishing act of African Americans. We're not having children. We're shrinking. We're a minority already. And so when you add the mass incarceration of blacks, when you add the gay community within our community, when you add about brothers on the down low, when you talk about black on black crime, black people just killing black people, the vanishing act of African Americans. When we talk about marrying outside of the race, I mean, there's a famous golfer, and his father was African American, taught him everything there is to know about golfing, supported him, taught him. He became, this African American golfer became famous. His mother was of a minority descent, and well, when he came up, he just dated white women. He refused to date within his race, and he married a European young lady, beautiful European young lady, and they had a beautiful child, and he got divorced. She left him, and because of some of his behavior, and took the child, and not only took the child but took the finance. Half of the finances was allotted to her, and she went off and went back to her culture. And what happened to his seed? I'm sure that child would marry in the European community. Once again, here we got the vanishing act of African Americans. Where did that man's seed go? Why couldn't he procreate in his own community? Then his finances left our community and once again went into a community that they were well-to-do, and God blessed them for that. But what about us? The vanishing act of African American men refusing to marry within our own race. We could do better than that. We need to stop being so divided and allowing slavery to permeate our minds and go from generation to generation, and allowing that old Jim Crow teaching to continue to live in our community. We got to do better. I'm talking about the vanishing act of African Americans. Have you ever thought about it? Jesus loved the little children, all the children of the world, whether yellow, black, or white. Do you love your own people? Can we start to mature, commit to marriage, commit to family, commit to children? And one more thing. Now, and I like to speak to our African American women. When a relationship don't work between you and your husband or you and your man, stop playing that child against their father. Allow that father to be a father to that child. Don't sit around and tell that child that father didn't want them, that father abandoned them. Stop lying. Many fathers will love a relationship with their children. And some of you women need to just stop it. You're hurting our community. Just because the relationship ended between you and he, move on. But allow that child to have an opportunity to know their father, to develop a relationship with their father. Don't perpetuate this evil in our community, these things that are damning our community, these things that are causing the vanishing act of our community. This is just the plain truth. Thank you for listening to the plain truth. We love you. God bless you. Amen.